Hello and welcome to Quid Art Continue Pub News. It's been a while, guys. I'm sorry about that. We've taken far too long since the last pub. There's a lot to get through. Shall we kick off? First of all, shall we say, I am Mike Plant. This is Jack Turner.
Hello.
This is Andy Lockwood.
Hello.
This is Dave Whiteman.
Hello.
And yeah, let's crack on. So, where should we start? I want to start with some new games that have been announced. We've seen a little bit of footage from, so let's start with Mad Max. Oh yeah, Jack, I know you're going to love this. It's like Mordor in the desert.
Brilliant. This is what I've been waiting for. Do you know what? I've not actually seen any of this footage.
It
so,
looks atrocious.
Always prepared. Jack Turner.
Well, hang on a minute, because I thought, isn't this game just basically Just Cause, but with like a Mad Max skin?
It's got a mixture of, it looks a bit like Mordor, it looks a bit like a kind of a mashup between a bit of Borderlands in there. But it just looks so dated, and even the trailer, when you're basically showing off your wares, you watch it and you go, that looks crap.
It does look like a game that's been supported for a film, though, doesn't it? You know, when
Yeah,
they've got those
yeah.
film games.
It's not linked to that.
No,
it's
no,
completely separate.
Yeah, I read something about that as well. I thought, well, it looks terrible. Though. It looks like a PS3 game, but like in terms of the sort of animation and stuff like that, it just looks really badly handled.
And it's like, upgrade your car and like fighting the world, and it's like, and I'm sorry, but what? It's not linked to the movie. What? It's coming out exactly the same time. Yes, interesting.
In the heads of the marketing people, it's definitely linked. Maybe if it's not by the games people. So the cars are interesting because you can actually shoot the wheels off, and then they'll handle differently as you'd expect. So you can kind of.
GTA for years though. It's like, I don't know. It just looks so underwhelming. And speaking of underwhelming, Tony Hawk 5. That looks.
I haven't seen any footage of that yet.
Well,
I saw one screenshot.
So basically, yeah. So they've announced Tony Hawk 5, and there's a lot of excitement on the internet, as there generally is.
Interesting.
But then it turned out that it's being made by the same people who made the Ride games and the Tony Hawk remaster that came out on PS3 and Xbox, which was handled really poorly. And the graphics just look absolutely terrible. It looks like PS2 kind of.
Yeah.
And like you said with this Mad Max game, this is like the first shots of it. This is how they're saying to the world, this is our new game. And they look terrible. Yeah. And you think, why are you advertising it like these are the best shots you could find?
Yeah, it's like a really unflattering picture, and you go, well, that was the best one we took today.
Exactly, yeah.
I think we've been a bit spoilt with graphics recently, though, because I watched, I told you guys, I watched this documentary about video games industry, and it sort of obviously goes back through the years of gaming. And you look even just at PS2 graphics, or even early PS3 and Xbox 360 and stuff like that, and just how far graphics have come along. It's only when you sort of do the comparison, back to back, that you realise just how much difference there really is.
Even in the PS3 era, because if you look at the first games that came out, like Resistance, Fallen Man, those games looked absolutely, like even the first Uncharted, it looked crap compared to the later games in that same generation.
Yeah.
And now we're into the games of this new generation of things like Second Son, like look amazing.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, there seems to be this. I think what it is, some games are made and they're made to cover many formats, and they're the ones that still look shit even on the PS4. And,
yeah.
Well, the thing about graphics though is it's the same as if you gave someone a load of pens and pencils, isn't it? Some people are going to turn something amazing, and some people are going to do something really, really rubbish. Yeah. And like there is a money issue there as well, but you can do things which look absolutely outstanding, and actually when you look at beneath them, there's not a lot there in terms of graphics. It just seems to me with these two games, I don't know, it just feels way behind the times.
Well, you guys must have got involved with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 when that came out, did you?
I have never played a Tony Hawk's
Really?
game. Go on, Jack.
Oh,
Jack Hawk's Turner.
When I had my PlayStation, it was pretty much a Resident Evil and Tony Hawk's machine.
Yeah.
They were great.
Well, I remember Pro Skater 2 was like, because that was my early teenage years, and it was just like the game to go play around your mate's house. It was really good fun.
Tony Hawk was at CES, wasn't he? Yeah, he came out in the Sony press conference, and they trotted him out, and he was trying out some action cam, wasn't he? Yeah, they'd given him like a massive sack of cash, and he plugged this game there, and he said, I've got a new game coming out, I can't say anything, guys, because oh no, the world might stop, like who cares. But it was this game then, and you're like, he must be so rich and just doesn't give a stuff
He did
anymore.
seem to be a very lovely chap, though. Actually, he was very affable.
Yeah, he was quite nice. But he clearly had Sony had gone, here's a massive bag of cash, make a movie around amazing locations. It was him surfing and then snowboarding and then on a holiday, him in the pub just like drinking like liquid gold.
I've got Sony on it.
It's like, wow, what a crappy deal. But yeah, I just think we were talking about this with Resident Evil in the podcast. It's like, feels like another franchise where it's just, let's get the dead horse out again and let's flog that mother.
I think the idea the graphics comes into that. It just feels like, so Shovel Knight, for example, amazing game, amazing graphics, but they're done so, like, it's like an 8-bit game, but it still looks phenomenal. Yeah. And it's like you say, if you give a pen and paper to someone, they're going to turn out two very different things. It feels like with these games like Tony Hawk's now, they're just not trying. It's just like they're just banging it out as cheap and quick as they can, and that's where it's not the graphics, it's the heartlessness of it, which is the thing.
It's the franchise curse, isn't it? It's like, you just know you're going to get a certain portion of sales through an audience, and therefore, as long as you get it out to a good degree of standard, you're going to be all right, and it just creates insipid, boring crap, really.
Speaking of insipid, boring crap. Assassin's Creed. Oh, we're never going to get any nice things from Ubisoft now. Assassin's Creed, not that we do anyway. Assassin's Creed Victory, or perhaps Syndicate, according to Kotaku, who seem to have a man who works at Ubisoft feeding them all this information. Mr. Ubisoft, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so it's set in Victorian England. I don't know loads about the game. I don't think anyone really knows much. It'll all get unveiled at E3, I guess. But it's going to be like out this winter, 4th of September. I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be in like September, November time as usual.
Close to Christmas. That's funny.
Oh yeah, it's close to Christmas.
Victorian England, though, you think the period. I mean, you would probably go for the Industrial Revolution, but that was really early 1800s, wasn't it?
There ain't many high buildings either to scale.
So you'd think probably. I don't know whether I would have gone for that era, really.
They'll tie into Jack the Ripper and blah. It's just going to be John Dee will be in there, and it'll just be all that mysticism.
Kind of stuff, won't it?
John Dee's the wrong actually. Yeah.
There'll be a sequence where there'll be just loads of dancing in the streets.
Can I have some more?
It'll
be
be
like,
like
pay for it and DLC.
it'll just be like The Order, where they've Wikipedia'd 1800s, and then they'll just shoehorn everything in.
Yeah, that is so true.
It'll be Sherlock Holmes investigating Jack the Ripper. And it'll,
Oh, God. It's Sherlock Holmes over there, and it's Arthur Conan Doyle having a pint together.
I honestly cannot wait for the voice acting, to hear what it sounds like. Cool, blimey, he's just got my throat, he has.
Won't they all have sort of English accents, but with a French tinge? Because Ubisoft are French, aren't they?
Can you believe David Cameron's been elected again?
In Unity, the last one, they didn't really have very good French accents. I wonder what a French person playing that game must feel about the accents, because the only comparable thing we have is when it comes to London. You're like, well, those accents are completely preposterous and just done for Americans. But
I suppose in a way they have to kind of amp it up, don't they, a bit? I mean, it's a game and stuff. But I mean, in terms of it will be the same game, won't it, really? And if they can get it right and they can fix the issues that blighted Unity and get a bit of that kind of magic that came with Black Flag, it'll still probably be a really good game.
But do you reckon, will anyone here will we buy it? Will you rush out and buy it?
I won't.
I think, I stopped at 3, like I said, so I've not played Black Flag or Unity, but I do have an interest in games set in England, because so few games are, and I find that quite interesting, so I'll probably...
Have you seen on that front, have you seen they've all gone to the Rapture?
Yeah.
Oh, that looks awesome.
See,
yeah.
It's set in the 80s in a suburb.
That's it. But that, I think, because I'm not. It's not. I'm getting bored of Victoria England. But do you not ever feel like that's what's represented in Englishness in games?
Yeah.
They tend to go back really historical English, as opposed to the slightly, more modern day English. And I thought that's kind of. That sort of sparked my interest.
We were talking about that, weren't we? And those are 3 games that we were looking forward to. Everyone's gone to Rapture, Firewatch, and what was the third one? The Murder of
Oh, Ethan
disappearance
Carter.
of
Ethan
Ethan
Carter.
Oh,
Ethan
yeah.
Carter. It's three like three games that I'm really looking forward to. Actually, they look really interesting.
But it's like I said to you, it's funny that whole thing about wanting to play a game set in an English village, because I can like walk a mile down the road and be in one.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'd much rather play
Not
one
in
of
the
my-
80s.
Well, that's true enough. Yeah.
We all know the next Far Cry is going to be set in the home counties.
Yeah, that's going to be brilliant. That's what I've been holding out for. With
Far Cry
dinosaurs.
home counties.
Far Cry Cornwall.
Far Cry defeat UKIP.
The Revenge of Farage.
Oh, he'd make
Master
a great.
Farage.
He'd make a great Far
Oh,
Cry
he
villain.
would, wouldn't he? Yeah.
That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, his power attack is just throwing a pint of beer in your face and then licking it off. Oh, actually, wait a minute, sorry.
Finally, because it's been so long since we've sat down and done this, so Star Wars Battlefront got announced.
Ooh,
That's what I am excited for.
yeah, it looks good. I don't think it's going to be much of a single player. It's going to be much more of an online-y, sort of a Destiny type vibe going on.
Well, it's just basically team against team. I don't think there's even as much as Destiny. It's not got any. I think like you can have maybe co-op missions, but that's as far as it goes, and they're going to be pretty easy, like surface detail stuff.
It's a full price game, isn't it?
You better believe it. It's like 60 quid.
It's a lot of money for what effectively is an online experience, isn't it? I had the last Battlefront game, which was a long time ago, wasn't it? It was like a long time. PS2 era, yeah. And it was all right. I mean, I quite liked it, but I mean, I know people are really devoted to it, and obviously, from what we've seen on the, here we go, phones. What we've seen on the. From the graphics and the stuff on on Endor Moon with it looks pretty awesome.
Well,
doesn't it?
the cool thing is the effects they made are just like the original trilogy before George Lucas got hold of it again and redid all the crappy effects. So it looks things like fizzle and pop like they did on like the 70s versions and the early 80s.
Like a retro, like genuine rusticness.
That's what's so great about it. The sound effects sound just so like spot on. The only downside is it seems like content-wise, I think there's 12 maps, and that's your whole thing. And some of them, like there's about 4 levels on Hoth.
They've done something quite clever. I think aren't there 2 ice planets or 2 like jungle? I can't
Once
remember.
you've seen one ice planet, though, really.
Yeah.
And then there's Hoth, which is the ice planet, isn't there? And then there's a load of other stuff.
Level set in David Hasselhoff's house.
Yeah, you just get pissed with him, and then he cries for an hour. Oh, actually, wait, that's forget that.
Sings in German.
Yeah, sings in German. That's more safe.
They're doing one cool thing, which is they're giving away free DLC to tie it into the movie.
The Battle of Jakku.
Which is actually,
That's it. I said that in a Star Wars accent.
well, it's good. I liked it.
Battle of Jacko from
Brushstrokes.
this is the planet Liverpool.
Which I think is just a big desert planet, so it's going to just look like Tatooine.
Liverpool?
No, well, I used to live in Liverpool 10 years or so. So
Man and boy.
man and boy, just man.
Oh man, no boy.
All man, no boy. Yeah, where were we? Yeah, so Jakku is like a big desert level, so it's going to look like just like Tatooine. So it's not really. It might have a crashed Star Destroyer in it, as the trailer showed, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, it could be a really interesting game. It could be a bit of an Evolve, where I think it seems like people are kind of starting to find the
More
limits
like a
of it.
Titanfall, I reckon, because like it's going to have all this exciting stuff, and everyone's going to go, "Oh, this is awesome!" And then a week later, you'll be like, I've kind of played all the maps to death.
Well, also, don't you think there's less longevity in those kind of games now anyway, just because of the amount of stuff that's getting churned out?
Right.
Do you not feel like I think we've been slightly spoilt with games. Like there's always like a quiet period, but this is certainly coming out at a time where a lot of games get released. So the problem with that is then they're then competing for that longevity, so they need to keep up that online base, and that's why I just feel like online games really do fall down anyway. Same way Evolve would have fallen down, and Titanfall would have fallen down.
I mean, Destiny's somehow bucked that trend.
Has it?
Yeah, it's got a really
Stockholm
dedicated
Syndrome.
hardcore.
Right. Okay, well,
It's like
Yeah.
20 million players.
But I just think a lot of the time, so you're then competing with again your Call of Duties when they come out. So then the online base then goes to that, and it's really hard to surely hold the base for a long period of time.
But there hasn't been I can't remember the last Star Wars game, and obviously this is coming out when the movie's going to be out. There's going to be so much excitement around the Star Wars brand, and I think this is going to have long legs, much like an AT-AT from the film of the same name. Thank you, yes.